Hi guys, Matt from Everett Power Sports here again. I've been asked to shoot an instructional video on how to do an oil change on the 350, 390, 430, and 480 four-stroke Beta enduro bikes. And both models, the RR model and the race model, are exactly the same oil change procedure. Here at Everett Power Sports, we like to use the Beta oil change kits. They run about 50 bucks and they're available at any one of your Beta dealers. They come with the oil filter, every single O-ring that you would possibly need, and both quarts of oil for the transmission and for the engine. If you're not familiar with these motors, they are a split crankcase, very similar to the older Honda CRF motors where they use two different oils. One for the transmission and one for the engine. It's a great design because it keeps all the impurities from the transmission and clutch and stuff out of the crankcase. It's actually a pretty good design. A little bit more of an oil change instead of just draining one oil drain bolt. So what you're going to need for tools actually isn't a lot. You're going to need an 8mm socket. You're going to need a 13mm socket for your drain bolts. Some form of a torque wrench. Here we use the electric torque wrenches. You're going to need a 5mm Allen or Allen bit, and some kind of a Seeger plier. I actually use a circlip plier. That is for removing the oil filter, because once this oil filter is on the oil pump orifice, it's kind of a bugger to get out. So it's easy to get a hold of the end of the oil filter with that and actually pull it out. You're going to need some form of a small funnel, some kind of measuring device. I don't know what you like to use. I like to use a ratio right, just to put the correct quantity in that motor. So one thing that's very different about this engine is that most motorcycles you run for a certain amount of time, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, you turn them off and then you check your oil. This bike isn't like that. The transmission is, so you're going to run this motor for 2 minutes, turn it off, check your transmission oil through the oil check bolt. It's supposed to be at the very bottom of the threads, right there. The engine, however, is totally different than any other thing that we sell here at Everett Power Sports. We actually check the oil because Beta specs it this way while it's running. So after 2 minutes, the oil should be in the middle of the oil sight window, and we'll go over that in the video. If you have any questions or comments, throw them in there. We will get back to you. Subscribe and like, it really helps us out, and enjoy the instructional video. Thank you. Hi guys, oil change video. I brought my own personal race bike in. This is a 390, but like I said before, the 350, 390, 430, and 480, it's all the same procedure, same oil change kit. So I'm gonna go through that right now. So what we have is we have two drain bolts. We've got one here, this is your engine drain bolt. That one we're gonna remove, and this one is your transmission drain. So we're gonna remove both those and drain the oil. Ooh. You can see the two drain plugs. The transmission one is the one with the magnet on it, and the engine one is the one with the filter on it. So we're going to clean these up and replace the O-rings. With my oil draining, I'm now going to remove the cover for the oil filter here. And there's like I said, there's just a little trick to getting the oil filter out. You can see how far recessed it is in there. And I've found a pair of circlip pliers like this actually works pretty well. You can get a hold of it and actually pull it right out. Pretty effective and cheap. So at this point, I used some contact cleaner. I cleaned out the rest of the oil residue, wiped it out with a rag. I'm going to reinstall the oil filter. You got to kind of push it in there to start, and then throw the cover back on, and I'm going to tighten these two bolts to 10 Newton meters. The O-rings, clean these up, ready for install. There's the engine one. There is a transmission one. Now the engine one I'm going to torque to 15 Newton meters, and the transmission one's a little more, it's 20 Newton meters. So left side of the engine is engine side of things. There's a little view window here that we're going to use here in a little bit. This O-ring does come in the kit. We'll replace that, clean it up, make sure your orifice is clean, and then we're going to pour the oil in this side of the engine. It holds 750 cc's. I always start with that and then adjust if I need to. All right, this one's pretty important. So the transmission side of things holds 750 milliliters. Beta put out a memo or a bulletin about part of their setup instructions that completely is the opposite of what's in your service manual. Your service manual is going to show that you're supposed to run this thing, and this oil check bolt is where you check it, and it should be, the level should be at the bottom of the threads. The service bulletin actually says this thing is not an accurate way to actually test what's in there. You have to measure out the exact amount and put it in. So a part of our PDI process, when we get these from Beta, we drain the oil and reset it immediately because we can't verify that it's the proper height. So what we got to do now, per the service manual, the engine side of things, we need to fire it up, run it for 2 minutes, and then we actually look in the view window. It should be in the middle of the window, and we know we have the proper amount. So after running it for a couple of minutes, you can see where my oil height is. As long as you're in that red circle, you're good to go, and that is how you verify you have the correct amount. Hey guys, I hope that was instructional and helpful. Don't forget to hit like and comment. Any of that stuff, subscribe please. It does help us out. We do answer the comments, so if you have any questions, throw them in there and we will definitely get back to you. Thanks for watching.